Hello, welcome to the second installment of Bells of Hale. I am Mark Hale, your host for today. I'm changing up a little bit of the format for today. Rocking out to some Cranberries today. If most of you may or may not remember the Cranberries, I'm sure they're still around, but that was a big band in my day, high school and college. I have to change the name of the station. I didn't realize that someone else had the name Hale's Bells. So now we are called Bells of Hale. That's BELLSOHALE, excuse me. And you can email us at bellsofhale@yahoo.com. BELLSOFHALE@yahoo.com. Well, it's a glorious day here in Middle Tennessee. I don't know if you can see behind me, but the sun is shining. It's a beautiful, gorgeous day. It's 86 degrees here in Middle Tennessee. Loving the weather, ready for it to stay warm. I know that there are some people that are stuck in the cold today and some snow. We're also going to be changing up the way that we broadcast. I noticed that when I went to download the video yesterday onto YouTube that it took quite some time, and I don't know about you. I'm not the busiest guy in the world, but I don't have 35, 40 minutes to wait for a video to download that's an hour long. So I did notice that if you have a 15-minute video, that it takes less time. So we're going to try that today, break it up into 4 segments. We got some good topics today to talk about. As always, I want to thank Pandora for the free music. It's wonderful and awesome that they provide free music for you. And if you haven't tried it, go to Pandora.com and sign up. You can set up your radio stations. I love it. I have a Sunday morning station, today's country radio station, my sleepy time station for nighttime, which is awesome. It's a bunch of waterfall sounds and such. And then my station that is called Mark's Station that plays music from the 90s on through, even some old country and old rock and everything from Leonard Skinner all the way up, like you heard, the Cranberries. I love all types of music. There's just one or two branches of music that or genres, excuse me, I guess is what it's called, of music that I do not like, but we won't get into that. I guess everything has its time and place. Again, the email, I actually took some notes and wrote them down. I like to go off the cuff on this show. I like to just kind of shoot from the hip, so to speak. I don't know any other cliches to come up with, but I just like to talk whatever comes out of my head. Hopefully there's a filter on it and it makes sense to you. If it don't, well, I can't make you understand me. But we just try to look at the events going on in today's world from an old country boy's point of view, and we try to make it as interesting as possible, and we try to make it as as understandable as I can make it. I'm not the brightest guy in the world, and I don't understand the ins and outs of everything that in this world, but I do have an opinion on it like everybody else. Maybe you agree with it, maybe you don't. If you don't agree, I'd love to hear from you. If you do agree, I'd love to hear from you. Again, you can send that to Bells of Hale, Hale, BELLSOFHALE @yahoo.com, and love to hear from you about that. Also want to tell you about the partner nonprofit that we work with here, and that's Restoration Community Outreach. You can reach them at restorationcommunityoutreach.com. You can contact Bill or Dean Jackson through there. I'm sure that they would love to get some donations from you, but they do tutor children, mainly children. They have some adult students as well, but mainly children in any subjects that they're having problems with in school. They do range from from 5, 6 years old all the way up until teenage years. They do some preventive maintenance programs for the teens to try to keep them off the streets and teach them the dangers of drugs and alcohol. It's a wonderful program run by Christian people, so I want to make sure that I do mention them. Well, today we're going to have a few topics to talk about. I want to start off in the first segment talking about some football. I don't know a whole lot about pro football other than I like it. I wasn't never a big fan of pro football until it came to Nashville, and we'll get into that. we'll talk about that and some Predators hockey and some local sports. I don't keep up with anybody else outside of local sports other than the Cubs. I've been a Cubs fan since I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I guess because I played t-ball, it was on the Cubs, and so I just started watching the Cubs and Harry Carey and fell in love with them, and just like me, they're the lovable losers of the world. So we'll touch on some of that. And in our second segment, I'm going to try to do some current events. I got some topics in mind to discuss. These women on that are murdering their boyfriends or husbands and such seems to be on the news, or even their babies, as such as the Casey Anthony trial and stuff. So we want to touch on that. Segment 3 is probably going to be a hot topic. And it's really controversial right now in the country today, and it's dividing families, and so we want to discuss the gay marriage situation and kind of what the common folk think about it. I won't claim to be a representative of all the common folk, but I have talked with many people that are like-minded as myself about this issue, and want to share some of that with you. And then segment 4 today is going to be pet peeves. I really wanted to do something a little different and a little fun today, and talk about something that is just some of my pet peeves that just absolutely boggle the mind. Not saying that any of us are perfect, but there are some things that are beyond explanation. So we'll get into that and wrap up everything today. So I hope you enjoy the next hour. We're going to get right into it. The NFL draft's coming up here in a couple of weeks, and I'm telling you, I've been really, really disturbed by the recent drafts by the Tennessee Titans. Not often am I wrong about a player when I pick them to be good, and vice versa when I pick them to be bad. I'm not often wrong about that stuff. But I was really wrong about Jake Locker, I do believe. When they drafted him, I thought, well, they're finally, our quarterback woes are over. Here's a guy that will play. Here is a guy that will get in there and do what he needs to do to get the team on his back, and he just hasn't done it. I'm telling you, he just hasn't done it, and it's sickening. It's sickening to me that we have wasted so much money on quarterbacks over the last 10 years. Ever since Steve McNair left the Titans, the quarterback position has not been the same. I'm telling you, it is just not the same, and it makes me, I don't know what the word for it is. I as a fan, I tell you, I grew up as a Chicago Bears fan. Of course, had different things: Pittsburgh Steelers, Dallas Cowboys, and that stuff in our room, and blankets and trash cans and whatnot. Even helmets growing up. But I'm telling you, it's hard to. It's hard to imagine not being a Tennessee Titans fan right now, because I became a Bears fan just because I was a Cubs fan, and of course we were the Mount Juliet Bears when I was growing up, so just became a Bears fan. And then when they came to Nashville, I never saw them until '99, their first year at the Adelphia Coliseum, and first game I went, I fell in love with them, man. I tell you, it was an amazing. An amazing thing to see, and never been to a pro game before, but then all of a sudden here we were, and been to many college games, love college football, huge Alabama fan, have been since birth, but anybody that claims to be an Alabama fan, I can't tell you why they have an elephant as a mascot, or where the Crimson Tide came from, is probably not truly a fan, because that's common knowledge among Alabama fans, but that's a story for a different day. And what I'm trying to do now, I'm sorry to be so evasive right now, is I'm trying to look up the mock drafts for the AFC. And I tell you, it's an amazing thing to me that the draft is coming up, and we don't have any good prospects for the Titans. And I think the Titans have the 8th pick in the draft this year, and that's, I tell you, when we drafted Vince Young, I was appalled. I knew he wasn't going to be a good quarterback. I knew that he wasn't going to do good. I don't know why I knew this. I just knew it. I knew that he was going to be a flop. There were so many good quarterbacks out there when he came out, and we passed up so many good players. One of them was Jay Cutler. And Jay Cutler's had his issues. That by far, he's had his issues. But I'll tell you, anybody that can shine as quarterback at Vanderbilt, they've got my vote. I'm telling you, they got my vote as to being a pro quarterback. And he's a smart guy, and he's a big quarterback. A lot bigger than Jake Locker, and probably about the same size as Vince Young, maybe a little smaller. But I just was disappointed in that. And I think that year when we passed on Cutler was the year that we picked up Adam Jones. I may be mistaken, but we may have. We've also done some flubs in drafting when we drafted, and a lot of people won't agree with me in the Titans camp. We drafted Chris Johnson. And it looked like a great idea at first, and then, in his second season rushing for 2,000 yards, and that was the end of him. And he peaked, and that was it. Now he won't hit a hole, and it's frustrating and aggravating as a Titans fan. I don't know how else to say it. It's just, he got on track there a little bit at the end of last year, but it was not, it's not been good the last couple of years. He got his money, and then he's done. So I can't find, I'm not very good, like I said, at the computer stuff, so I can't find what I'm looking for on here, so we're just going to move along. I'm pretty sure that there are some good guys in the draft this year, but I'm just not able to find it right now. Probably should have done a little more research. I'm finding stuff on Peyton Manning. Never was a big Peyton fan, but I'm telling you, I was glad he came back and did what he did this year. Moving on to the NHL, we'll get back to the Titans tomorrow. I'll do a little more research and be a little more prepared. You're seeing this on the go. You're seeing me raw. You're seeing me as it is. There's no retakes. There's no do-overs. I'm learning as I go, and trying to just voice out and do something different. Start new chapters in my life, a new career tomorrow, and just different things. I always wanted to do broadcasting or share my opinion, not like anybody cares, but maybe somebody might agree with me. And I'll tell you, the biggest thing is that our country right now, we live in the greatest country in the world, in the history of the world. There's never been a greater country, never been a better country. But we have to understand that we're a young country. We're probably one of the youngest, if not the youngest countries in the world. I don't know the stats on that and who's the youngest or oldest, but our country was founded in 1776 officially. We've been around 150 or so more years than that, but we live in a great country where we have freedoms to do stuff like this right here. There's a lot of places that don't let you do it, and maybe, just maybe, we have some problems, and maybe we can get the problems turned around if enough of us get together and voice our opinions and get it out there. But we'll get onto that subject another day. My Predators aren't doing so well. They're 15-18 in the league right now. They got 38 points, dead last in the Western Conference Central Division. It's sad. The Predators have sold off all their good players, and they're just not good. They're not talented anymore. We had our run there for 3 or 4 years, and we made good in the playoffs and got to the second round, and then we couldn't afford anybody anymore. We put all our eggs in one basket, and now we have nothing for this year, and we're not we're a better second half team second half of the season team than we are a first half season team. Always have been. But the problem is we're only playing one half. So this is the first half. So don't believe we'll be making the playoffs this year. It's going to be close, but I don't, because that Central Division there is kind of dominating them in the Pacific. So we'll see how it goes and see what happens. So we'll keep tabs on my Predators. Keep tabs on the NFL. Maybe the Titans just need to stick with drafting out of the SEC. That seems to work for everybody else, so why not work for us, right? So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next section. My timer is telling me that this section's already gone on for 15 and a half minutes. It sure doesn't seem like it. So we're going to go on to the next section, and we're going to wrap it on up on this section of the sports. Please email me your comments and such, so I'll know what to do better and what not to do better, or if it's just fine the way it is. Like I said, I'm just an old country boy, just reporting things as I see them, just talking really, and would love to have you on here and talking with me, maybe even live one day. So we're going to move on to section 2, which is the current events. So be sure to find us on YouTube, and you can listen to the next section. Again, I'm Mark Hale, and this has been segment 1 of installment number 2 of Bells of Hale.